Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining the ACA Small Business Bootcamp and Resource Collective for this Thursday, May 6th. We're excited to have everybody with us. I'm Robert Theobald, Small Business Ombudsman and Vice President of Small Business Services. And we're glad to have you with us. Sorry about that. I'd like to first start by thanking all our community partners. We could not do these boot camp sessions without them. Their expertise, their time, their effort is extremely valuable, and we're grateful to be partnering with them to bring you these boot camp sessions. So the Small Business Bootcamp and Resource Collective is designed to help small businesses work through the COVID crisis and return stronger than ever. It is a statewide initiative supported by all those community partners. And besides the boot camp, it is also the Resource Collective and a content library. The content library is a piece that we did not anticipate when we started, but over the past year that we've been doing these, the content library has grown. On our website, on a link here you see, we have the information for both the boot camp, the Resource Collective, and the content library. So we start off on the website with the information for the boot camp, the upcoming sessions, and today's sessions, and you can view those. That's where you go to register for the upcoming sessions. About midway down the page, you'll find the link to the Resource Collective, which I'll talk about here in a moment. And then at the bottom of the page is the archive. And the archive is that content library. We record all of our bootcamp sessions, and we post those recordings and all the materials that go with them on that link. And so you can go back and review them at any time. If you miss a session, you can go back and watch it. If you want to share it with a friend, you can click on it and email them that link. It is a great place to find the great content and use that content library. As I mentioned, we have the Resource Collective, and the Resource Collective is a compilation of tools and guides that are provided by our community partners to help small businesses. This is just a sample list of some of those guides and resources that are available. And we have it covering all different industries: retail, restaurants, barbershops, cosmetologists, construction, manufacturing, and more. So there's a lot of great information on that Resource Collective as well. Another great website with information related to businesses and COVID-19 is the ACA's COVID-19 Arizona Business Resources website. And on this website, we have some information on business guidance, and this is for all size businesses, business guidance. We have our financial resources, where we list the loans and grant programs that are out there, both at the federal, state, and local levels. And a lot of other great information related to business in Arizona during COVID-19. Additionally, the ACA has a number of programs that can help support small businesses. Our small business services help to navigate with the SBA, the SBDCs, through some of the loan programs or some of the grant programs, local banking contacts, etc. Our workforce division works with employers to help them as they're needing to hire new employees or train and upskill some of their employees. And then our manufacturing extension partnership, Arizona MEP, is a program to help support manufacturers throughout the state. Additionally, we have our small business checklist, and this is a checklist for those looking to grow, start a new business, grow their business, create a new line of business. It is an online interactive resource that helps people understand the licensing, registration, and compliance requirements at the local, state, and federal level. And then the final website I want to mention is the state's COVID-19 information and resource page, arizonatogether.org. You can find a lot of great information related to COVID-19 on that website. So with that, I want to transition into some updates, and we've got some key updates that we want to share. And first is a restaurant revitalization fund application is open. And I actually put one of my links on here. I'm just noticing in the wrong spot. The very bottom web link, we'll post all these links in the chat. But the Restaurant Revitalization Fund application opened on Monday, and yesterday afternoon, the SBA sent out a notice of sharing how many businesses have already applied. There's been over 186,000 restaurants have applied for this grant. So if you are considering applying for the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, you need to do it as soon as possible. Do not wait any longer, because it is on a first come, first serve. There are some carve outs in that program for small businesses. And the first few weeks of the application window, anybody can apply, but they're only going to review the applications for certain types of small restaurants. So that's a really good thing, but there's a lot of applications in there. So you need to get yours in right away if that's a program you're looking at, because those funds will be exhausted as they start funding all the applications. The Shutter Venue Operator Grant has reopened as well. So if you have a business that falls into that, the IRS has made some updates on some tax credits for paid leave due to COVID-19, and also to help support getting the COVID-19 vaccine. There's some great information on the IRS's website. And then another note is the PPP funds have been exhausted unless you apply through a community finance institution. So if you are in the process, they do have some set asides to help with the people that are currently in the process. But if you're waiting to hear back from your lender, you need to call and talk to your lender to find out if your loan will go through with them or not. And if not, switch over quickly to a CDFI, a community development finance institution, or other community finance institution. If you have questions on some of those, the SBA, the Arizona District Office, has a listing of the CDFI lenders in this state that are doing PPP loans. And I can share that with you as well. So feel free to reach out to us directly if you need help on that. But that was a big announcement that came this week as well, that the PPP for regular banks, those funds are exhausted, and the set aside that was created for the community finance institutions is the money that's left. So some important news that came out yesterday, again, with the Restaurant Revitalization Fund and the PPPs. These links, we will post them in the chat so you can access them. With that, we're going to look at next week's sessions. We've got two great marketing sessions. One is Marketing to the Right Customer with Monique James. She does stuff with SCORE. She has her own marketing business. We're looking forward to that session with her. And then on Thursday will be a co-partnered session with Google on Grow with Google and how to reach your customers online with Google. So leveraging their technology to reach your customers. So we're excited about that one as well. Just a note on the Grow with Google session, the registration page is a little bit different. We are co-hosting that on their platform and not our normal Zoom platform. So there's a few different things there to notice, but it should be a really good session. So with that, we want to turn the time over to today's speaker. Again, we have Andrae Jones from Octavia Digital Media. Today is part 2 on leveraging podcasts to grow your business. If you missed part 1 on Tuesday, you can go back and watch the video for that. And we will have both of these videos up later this week. But we are excited to have him again with us and do part 2. So, Andrae, I'm going to go ahead and turn the time over to you. It is all yours.
Oh, thank you so much. Hello and good morning, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well, having a great week. Let's go ahead and let's jump in. Kind of moving things around a little bit. Everyone can see the screen. Screen looks nice. Fantastic. So let's go ahead and let's begin. Today is part 2 in how to leverage a podcast to grow your business. And today we're actually going to talk about how to market your podcast in your business at the same time. This is by far probably one of the most important pieces of having a podcast, because now you have a chance, an opportunity to really market not only your podcast, but your business all at the same time. So let's go ahead and let's get started. So let's do an introduction again real quick. My name is Andrae Jones. I am the owner and CEO of Octavia Media, and as well as the host of All About the Win podcast and co-host of the podcast, Get Your Barbecue On with Ken Alexander. Octavia Media was created in response to the rapid growth of digital marketing as well as digital strategy. And that is where we focus and where we spend a lot of our time finding the story of your business and expanding upon it. So that way people know when they see the brand, they see the story, they see the story, they see the brand. It's empowering your business as well as increasing and growing your brand. So let's go ahead and let's get started. And today we're going to go and do a quick recap for those who joined us on Tuesday. This is going to go really fast. This is information we talked about all on Tuesday, not Wednesday, Tuesday. And just real quick, we talked about how podcast has been around since the 1980s and really took off in 2004 thanks to this wonderful device you see on the screen known as the iPod. We also talked about what a podcast was, which is a person or persons talking to a guest or not about something of interest to the audience where they're either educated, entertained, or inspired. We also talked about how there are many different topics that podcasters will talk about, from sex, love, marriage, to fishing, to hunting, to ghost stories and FBI investigations. Whatever you're looking for, you can find it online. And people mostly listen to podcasts using Spotify, which is the #1 platform to listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Pandora, who just recently launched their podcast platform, and will generally listen to a podcast as an alternative to listening to music, like basically like listening to talk radio. You will generally hear people listen to podcasts where they're cleaning or doing other activities. Driving long distances is another reason why people will listen to a podcast. We also talked about how podcast is not like radio because it's free. You're free to create the content that you like to do, however long you like, and create whatever show that you would like. We talked about the variety of different shows from Joe Rogan and his 5-hour-long podcasts, which are all very good. It's just 5 hours. We also talked about Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, and his podcast that's anywhere between 11 minutes to 45 minutes. And we also looked at Don Miller, who does like 11 to 20-minute podcasts, and really looked at the different topics of podcasts that was out there. We even went over how to create your own podcast, the 5 most important elements that you need to have before you can create your podcast. And this is to guide you to help you create that podcast. It is your topic, your audience, who your audience is, the format of the show, scheduling, how are you going to schedule the time to record, as well as when you're going to release the episode, and recording and mastering is what we talked about. And we also talked about should your show be scripted or not, and the importance of practicing. So that's what we talked about on Tuesday. Now that we're all caught up, it's now time to talk about how to record your show, get it out there on the internet, and how to leverage this new creation to grow your business as well as your brand. But first, we need to talk about the equipment that you're going to use to record your show, as well as edit it, which is the most important piece. You got to record your show. Now that it's living in your head, you got to bring it out into reality. And during this presentation, I'm only going to talk about audio editing. I'm not going to talk about video editing. Video editing is its own other beast. Again, this goes back to format. Are you going to be doing a podcast where there's video as well as audio, or is it going to be strictly audio? And for this, I'm only going to talk about audio because, like I said, video, it's its own other level of editing, mastering, and creation. Okay, so your equipment will depend upon the format of the show. And what I mean by this is it's going to be simply this. Who is going to be talking to the audience? Is it just you talking to your audience and telling stories? Is it you and a co-host talking to the audience where both of you are in the same room? Is it you and a co-host talking to your audience where both of you are online? Is it you and a co-host talking to the audience and interviewing people all in the same room? Or is it you and your co-host talking to the audience and interviewing them where everyone's online? Once you figure out this piece, once this part is figured out, you then can figure out what equipment that you'll need. Please remember that how the show sounds is everything, and AKA is the most important piece of the entire show. So let's say you're doing solo. Let's say it's just you, no guests, no nothing, it's just you telling stories. Perfect. Then the best microphone for you is right here on the screen. It is a external USB microphone called the Yeti. And you can get either a Snowball or Yeti or anything that is a USB microphone. I love the Yeti because of the fact that it picks up your sound and your voice and all the frequencies in your voice. And your voice comes out extremely clear. It's very, very easy to set up with a Mac or PC, and you are ready to record instantly. Uh, you do want some professional headphones to go with it. However, if you just have the ear ones that you want to plug in because that's most comfortable for you, that's fine. But you do want to have some headphones so you can hear how you sound. I know, I know. I don't like how I sound when I talk in a microphone. You will get used to it. Yes, your voice does not sound like how it comes out regularly when you're talking. However, over time, you will get used to your voice. That just takes time. Now, let's say that you're doing everything in person and you're going to have someone's going to be your co-host and you're going to have an interview with somebody. Then I recommend something like this. Now, to do this properly, you are going to have a room, a quiet room, your studio, where you can record. You want not a lot of sound bouncing around. You want it quiet so that way you're not picking up anything else coming from the room. And you want to have it slightly soundproof. There is a way to set up the microphone so that way it sounds as if you are in a soundproof room. There is a way to do that. But regardless, you do want to have less distractions, no noise as possible. Um, and also you'll need something that's going to support multiple microphones, just as this one does. And of course, if you're going to have multiple microphones, you're also going to have multiple headphones as well. For this, you need something like this, which is a smaller version of what we actually use in our recording studio, which I want to show you our recording studio prior to us beginning its modification. Right now, it's all under construction. It's going to be beautiful when it's done. The setup is still pretty easy, and you'll be able to be up and running in about an hour or so. The only thing that you'll have to do is figure out how to hide the wires and clean it up. You can get arms for the microphone because as you see, there's no arms for these microphones. You can get arms for the microphone so that way they are literally face level. And with all microphones, you want to make sure to always have your face as close to the microphone as possible, so that way the microphone picks up your voice and all of its frequencies. I tell people when they come to the studio, you're going to have that microphone close enough as if you're about to eat it. That's how close you need to have the microphone. We decided to go in person only simply because of the fact of one of our guests said was he felt cooped up in his house all day. He gets to come to a studio, have the interaction and create and that energy being created together in person. And he's like, I leave here and all I have is positivity and a smile on my face, and I'm ready to go out and spread that out there. That is what we were looking for when we were going to do our show. Also, another reason why is because I have 3 other co-hosts. So you have me, 3 co-hosts, plus my sound engineer, plus my guest. So 6. We have 6 stations in that picture there, kind of, sort of, you can see them all. So we need a place for everybody. Now in this studio, everyone is 6 feet apart from each other, which is nice. We all have our own room and everyone has their own station. So that's really, really nice as well. But this allows us to record in person, We get the interaction. We get to look at the guest. We get to have a lot of fun looking at each other and just playing off of each other. So that's the reason why we decided to go this way. The setup took a little bit of time of just like playing around to figure out what was going to work best for everything. But once we figured out exactly how we're going to record the show and what was needed, and we ordered it on Amazon, Amazon is where you can find everything. Amazon, it really was very helpful to have everything that we need. And literally, when we go to record, I think we just hit 2 plugs. We turn on 2 power strips, and we're ready to record. And turn on the microphones, and we're ready to go. It's just that simple. And the studio is always set up to be the studio as well. All right, so if you're gonna do this so here's a picture of the studio that I just got to talk about. So like I said, everyone has a workstation, as I was talking about, as well as the microphones hang on the arm, so that way you can adjust those chairs, you can lean back in the chairs. Everyone is comfortable while recording. It's not something stuffy or anything else in that nature. So that's the reason why we're doing it. Right now it's under construction because we're about to add LED lights. We're gonna paint the walls. We're going to add some more decoration. I'm gonna claim it as my own studio and less look like an office, because right now it looks more like an office than a studio. All right, so what if you're gonna do all of this online? Well, I recommend again that if you're gonna do online recording, that you make sure you have a Yeti microphone, and also to make sure that your co-host has a really good microphone as well. Your guests can still use whatever they like to use. You can't really dictate what they use, but they can use whatever they like. As long as you and your co-host have the same equipment, that's really important. So that way you're able to, that's way you're able to have the same level of microphone frequency, basically. And we're going to talk about this here in a little bit. If you are going to record online, okay, we're going to talk about it right now. If you're going to record online, you want to stay away from Zoom, Google Meet, and Skype. No, don't do that. The reason why is because they're not set up to actually do podcasts. Doing podcasts means that you need seamless audio. And we're going to actually talk about some of the platforms that's out there that will really help you get that seamless connection and seamless sound going. A high quality sound at that. Skype has a limitation that it can't produce high quality sound. It just does the best it can. Same thing with Zoom, same thing with Google Meet. These applications that we're going to talk about help you produce a high quality sound, and does a little bit of the editing and mastering for you. So that way you're getting a high quality sound already that you don't really have to do too much editing with. Please note that these applications actually were created thanks to COVID-19 pandemic and people wanting to go into podcasting and doing something when we couldn't do anything. Go to show that there is a lighter side to the pandemic. There we go. So let's start with Iris, which is a brand new remote recording platform that just launched. It has the ability to have video as well as audio tracks, as well as bringing in team member features. It has a lot that it offers to the podcaster for the host. There's also some cool features coming out really soon. There's a built-in chat, several ways to invite guests and co-hosts, and dark mode and automatic updates. There are even several options to download both the audio and the video files. You can download either of them locally from each person for the highest quality, or a compressed version. So in other words, so let's say myself, Robert, and Faith did a podcast. I can download just my words, and Faith can download just her words, and Robert can just download his, or we could just download all of them together. Prices starts about $9 a month to record audio and video. So you have the option of getting both the audio and the video. Riverside FM is another one that has popped up not too long ago, and they've been doing really, really well. And they have actually a very impressive platform as well as a lot of really cool features. If you want to do a live podcast, let's say myself, Robert, and Faith are going to do a live podcast, and we're going to talk about, I don't know, fishing. I've never been, but we're going to talk about fishing. Um, there is a way that we could do Facebook Live on Facebook, and then we can also put it on YouTube. We could put it on Twitter. We could put it on Twitch. We can live stream, just like we're doing right now. We can live stream this our podcast. It supports up to 8 people, so we can have one host and 7 guests. There's also a call-in function. Back in the day, back in radio, when people would call in, "Hi, my name is Sally, and I was wondering," those type of call-in. There is a way to do that, and you can actually have a screen feature, like a screener type feature where people are calling in and you can screen their calls. You can also share your screen. You can also switch cameras and chat all from within its dashboard. It can record audio and video. It can be done locally as well as over the internet. So you have a choice of which quality you would like to use. There's been a lot of podcasts who are now moving towards them. A lot of radio shows are actually moving towards them, such as the Morning Brew, and also the NFL uses this as well. So you know you're in actually some good hands. The pricing, it starts at about 15 bucks a month, and you can get video, you can get audio. However, if you want the HD quality of everything, it's $29 a month. And if you want to add live streaming, it's $39. It's all paid annually. So definitely check out Riverside, especially if you want to do more of that video. If you want to do that live podcasting, definitely check them out. And there's also Zencaster, which we actually used for a little while as well. And their free plan actually works really, really good, where you can have up to 2 guests and you can download it all in MP3 format. If you want to do wave format, there's a difference. MP3 is good. Wave is always better. However, wave is too big, so you always upload things as MP3s. Technology. That's all I can say. I can't answer all questions, but I can at least say that. So if you want to do wave, you have to upgrade to 20 bucks per month. You'll be able to record an unlimited number of guests. You can have as many guests as you want, save unlimited recordings, and use the live soundboard because it comes with a soundboard inside the interface for music, ads, and etc. So you can actually do the intro music right there. You could actually do a live podcast from Zencaster. You simply send your guest an invite link and everything is configured through your browser. You don't need to download everything. Everything is done through your browser. You can save tons of time when it comes to editing because it does a lot of the editing for you, which is really cool. Kind of increases the sound volume, get people sounding the same. And then also there's a way that you can connect to Dropbox and have your recordings automatically get saved there. In addition to all of that, they also have an automatic post-production feature that will reduce noise and automatically adjust the output level, as I said, to your desire. So it can really do some of the editing work for you. Starts about, like I said, 20 bucks a month, and it's really, really powerful and well worth it podcast. Let me see here. I'm checking on questions. Question, is it better to record in a small room or more open area to get the best sound, or does it even matter? Good question, Raven. So it's really, you could, we've done it in a small room and we've recorded in a very big conference room. And we found that the smaller room allowed for us to have less echo. The bigger the room, the more chances the sound is going to go out and bounce. So what we have done is we are in a smaller room and we actually we're like in the middle of the room, if that makes sense. So since we're in the middle of the room, that creates the sound to stay in one area. So that's really, really helpful. How do you get the best quality? What's the best platform to host your podcast on? Right now, I'm using Anchor. Great question. We're going to answer that here in a little bit. You're jumping ahead a little bit, Raven. So we're going to definitely answer that in a little bit. Great question. All righty. So let's talk about how you edit your show, which is actually the most important piece. And a way you edit your show is through wonderful programs, like two programs that you can use. One is free, one is paid. And the one I would say to do is going to be Audacity. Remember, we're only focusing on editing audio files. Video is another beast and a half. It's when we do video, it goes to our videographer. He does all the magic and he makes all of that happen. For audio files, this is basically what I'm telling you how to do it right now. If you're going to edit your audio files, you start very simple by using a free, powerful tool called Audacity, and which is easy to install and has many tutorials and videos how to edit an amazing clean show. You can add your own theme music and sound effects to the show using Audacity. I mean, like, it's crazy what this software can do for free. It is bananas what this thing can do for free. There's also Adobe Audition as well. Adobe Audition is um, Adobe Audition is also very, very powerful. It is oh my gosh, how can I explain Audition? It does everything that you need it to do, and then some. That they, I don't even think we're actually touching everything about it. Most podcasters use Audition to clean things up with Audacity on the side, and that's what we use. We use Audition to clean all of our audio up with Audacity on the side for little things that we want to do very, very quickly. Um, let's see, Audition also has many tutorials and videos to help you learn the program. And since we actually have a sound engineer, I actually taught my sound engineer everything that I knew, and then had her expand upon it. She takes care of all the editing for us. So she's there to record the shows as well as to edit the shows. And what she does is she sends it to me so I can listen to the show. And as I'm listening to the show, I can now figure out what to do. Generally, when she does send me the show, it's like a couple days later, which is perfect because I have now lost what happened in the show, and now I can hear it from the audience points of view, which is really, really important. When you're editing the show, listen it from the audience point of view, not from your point of view. That's two separate things. So wait a day before you actually listen to your edits of the show, so that way you know how you sound. And really, like I said, put it yourself into the listener's perspective to really see if the listener is going to get value from what you're saying, because that's ultimately what you're doing, giving them value. All right, finding music and sound effects. There are so many ways to find music and sound effects. This is actually one of the heart and souls of All About the Win podcast, the podcast that I am the host of. Because All About the Win, what we do is I was very heavily influenced in old school radio growing up. And so when I said I was going to have a show, even when I was a kid, I was like, if I'm going to have a show of anything, it's going to have music and sound effects. Because I love the fact that when you're listening to an old school radio show, they have all this music and sound effects going on that really brings that story to life. So when we started All About the Win podcast, it was like, okay, we got to add music and sound effects to bring all these stories to life. When we started All About the Win, we had very little sound effects. It didn't really know where to go. I recommend a place called storyblocks.com. Storyblocks.com, I think you paid like $30 a month. It's or 20 or $30 a month, and they give you unlimited access to music and sound effects. So you have, and all of it is music that you can use on your show. So this is not music that you have to pay $20 a month to get access to and then pay again. No, this is actually music that you can use however you like. And they have a great list of sound effects as well as a lot of good music that you can use. And they have a variety of theme. We use jazzy stuff for one of our segments, and some of it is like upbeat, jazzy, old school swing music, and some of it is like contemporary jazz music as well, or what is it, Latin Lover Guitar. I think that was one of them that was really good. It was quite funny what we used it for. There's also YouTube. YouTube actually has places where you could do royalty free, and all you have to do is give them credit. So also look into YouTube as well. And there's also so many royalty free websites that you want to go to. what we have done also is we've actually acquired our own band. So we actually, Octavia Media has a band that we will go to. So we're actually in a process of doing a All About the Win podcast. Octavia Media presents, and we're doing a noir show. And our band is actually producing all the music for the noir show. We have tons of sound effects we've already collected over the last year or so. So we're going to be putting all those together. And if we need something else, they'll go ahead and jam it out for us, no problem. So that's the cool piece about having your own band, is that you can do that. So, and also our theme music that we're currently using, we're about to switch it. Our theme music that we have right now, I found a friend of mine who does music and music production. I told him I was doing a podcast. I'd like for him to do a song for me. I paid him some money. He gave me a song. Life is good. And it's a really rocking song. So use your resources, use your community to be your resource as well. All right. So we've now talked about editing a show and all that good stuff. All right, you recorded your show, you created it, recorded it, it's ready to be uploaded. And now the next question is, how do you get your podcast on multiple different platforms so that way people can hear everywhere? And luckily, this is very easy. Few online platforms I want to talk about, and that application is something that Raven brought out earlier, and that is Anchor, which is owned by Spotify, the #1 platform that people listen to podcasts on. Anchor to the rescue. Anchor does everything that you will need in order to get your show out there in front of your audience all over the world. Anchor will host your podcast, which is what Raven asked. Like, how do you host your podcast? Where do you do it? Hosting your podcast is super important because of the fact that if you put it on the website, it's going to bog down your website because it has to load up all these files. With putting it on Anchor and having your website linked to that, it really does create a space for your website to go fast, as well as still upload your latest show. This will put all of your shows on all the major platforms, including Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and many others as well. There's so many that it populates onto. The second, actually, that it populates on Apple Podcasts then throws it onto other platforms that it's partnered with. So no, it's going all over accounts, or all over the place. Sorry, all over the country, if you will. It also gives you a shareable link so that you can share it on all sorts of social media platforms. The dashboard is very detailed in helping you get an overall picture of how your show is doing. You have total plays, which is how many plays an episode has been played, how many times the episode has been played since the beginning of time. All your episodes have been played since the beginning of time. An estimate audience size is how big your audience size is. How many listeners do you attract within a 30-day period? And how many unique listeners, new listeners, do you get each week? There's also a graph that shows the highs and lows period of your show. You just have to get used to your show going through high and low. By Don, your show. Uh, um, so it shows where your shows are being heard, how they're being heard. You get to expand on this map here on the left-hand side where it says United States and Belgium. You get to expand on that to see exactly where part of the country and the cities that is being listened to the most, so you can give them a shout out. You can also see what platform people are listening to your show the most and the demographic and age according to Spotify. This is very helpful on seeing how your show is doing demographically. And remember, this is only coming from Spotify, though, not from all the other platforms. Anchor.fm also gives you the ability to find sponsors for the show. And once the sponsor is found, they will ask you to record the ad and you can place it anywhere you like on your show. The more ads you have on the show, the more times you get paid. Anchor starts you off with a sponsor ad for you to read and place it right in front of your show, which is advertising Anchor as a way to record your podcast. However, do not let this ideology fool you, as there's not a lot of money up front. The way to get paid is calculated really, really differently. So let me explain. This is what someone said. It's a quote from this blog here. As an estimate, if your podcast has about 10,000 downloads per episode, you can expect to make between 500 to 900 per episode in affiliate sales. Yep. I think right now with All About the Win, our audience size is still growing, which is great. It's at 50 people generally, and it's growing steadily every week, which is what we want. And I believe we're at like $6.14 or something in that nature. It's quite ridiculous. Why? Well, let me explain this. Why? For example, let's say Robert and Faith have a show and they get a sponsor from Bob's Burger and they said, hey, I'll pay you $5 every time the show is heard at 1,000 listeners. So every time the show is heard by 1,000 listeners, every time that show, one episode, show, that one episode, to get paid your $5. And then after every thousand, you get 10. That's how I'll pay you. The best way to do this, the best way to actually have support for your show, grow your audience and your business, as well as get paid for what you do, is find your own sponsors. To find your own sponsors is super important. You can offer a free package or charge people for a package deal that you and the other business owner agree on. This gives you access to their audience as well as, okay, good. Okay. This gives you access to their audience, and they have to promote your show at their shop, their store, or their restaurant in exchange to use your audience to get their business out there. You should first use your business as a start. You should be recording an ad for your business on all your shows. You may have a fishing show. That's fine. Fishermen need an accountant if you're an accountant. You can have a show about FBI investigations. People who listen to FBI investigations, they also need an accountant. Record your ad. And if they don't, they will find someone who does. Record your ad, and then find other businesses to partner with to promote your business with a 30-second plug every episode. All right, so here we are, part 4. So how do we do it, Andre? How do we promote your show and your business as well? Well, you got your show created, you recorded it, you uploaded it, and now the question now becomes, you've done all of this work. How in the world am I going to, okay, cool. How in the world am I going to really promote my business and get it out there? How can I promote my show and get it to more listeners? Well, here is how. Once your show has been created, upload it. Now it's time to get to real work and getting the message out there in as many ways as possible. This is the perfect time for you to not only promote your show, but also promote your business all at the same time. Now, remember, what you're really doing here is growing the brand awareness of the show, and consequently, you're also growing the brand awareness of your business. Even if your show is about fishing, like I said, and you are an accountant, fishermen know people who need accounting services. If you are sharing ghost stories and you do hair and makeup, everyone needs their hair and makeup did, no matter how scary the show is. This is the part where you get to be extremely creative on how you promote your show. Now, mind you, depending on the show and how you promote it, it could take anywhere between 6 to 18 months to grow your audience to a solid number of listeners. What I mean by that is over 1,000. The goal is to stay on it and keep going. And yes, it may sound like another full-time job because guess what? It kind of is, because you're growing something out of nothing. Here are some tips that you can use to grow your podcast. 1, leverage your guest audience. The people who come onto your show have an audience waiting to hear their show before it even gets released. I see my friends on Facebook who I invite on my show, fellow entrepreneurs that I bring on my show. They are like, oh my gosh, I got this golden opportunity next week to be on the show on a podcast. I cannot wait. And all of a sudden, all their friends are going like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for the show to get released. Or they go, oh my gosh, I just recorded this amazing show. I can't wait for you guys to listen to it. They're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to listen to it. They're like there waiting for the pickings. They're waiting. Therefore, once the show is released, make sure you let your guests know that it's up and ready to be listened to, and give them a shareable link that they can share with others very quickly so they can post it everywhere. You can also give them their interview as well, allowing them to post it on their website or social media, which puts the show in front of so many other people. Leveraging your guest audience is perfect for building your audience, even if they listen to that one show. You can have 10 people just listen to the one show, but there's going to be one or two that's going to continue listening to all the other shows that you have done because it sparks their interest. Okay. Number two, promote your show on social media. You want to promote your show in a lot of different ways on social media. It's one thing to just post, hey, I have an episode up. It's another thing to add sound bites and clips on the show to give people a taste of the show and what you're talking about. You may want to do a graphic that goes along with the theme of the show. You could do a quote from the guest and put it up there and say, listen more to the show, click here. You could also do a picture or do a short video of the show being recorded. It's a Facebook Live. You really want to be creative and use your creativity here to promote your show on social media with the goal for others to share it on their page and have their audience share it and go and listen to the show. Find partners to mention you. Like I said earlier, finding your own sponsors, finding your own group, your own audience, your own foundation is super important. Depending on your show, you may be able to mention bigger companies on your show and tag them on your social media, and they may feature your show to their audience. If you're talking about Gerber baby, for some reason that's in my head, I looked at my puppy and he looks like Gerber, a puppy Gerber baby. I don't know. He's puppy. But he's adorable is what I'm trying to say. And maybe just maybe you say something really good about Gerber and you promote him. You then you create a social media post and you're like, hey, thanks Gerber for all that you've done for my family. And you say, you post the little clip that talks about Gerber, not the whole show, just a little clip. And maybe just maybe you keep doing it, they will, and then tag them, of course. Maybe just maybe they will go ahead and say, hey, this person is giving us a positive light. Let's promote them. The more companies that you mention and promote in good spirit, the more likely they will like to feature your show on their platform. Don't do it backwards to be like, well, I'm not going to mention them until they promote me. They don't know who you are, dude. And nor do they care. They got other people doing product placement for them. So vice versa. I want to say good things about them. They will come in and say, hey, this company is talking about good things about us. Let's put them in front. Now, when they listen to the entire show, let's say when the audience listens to the entire show, guess what they're going to hear? That's right, your ad to your business. Oh my gosh, that's putting it into an audience that you've never had before. Yes, that's the whole point of putting your ad in there. This is leveraging your business as well as your podcast, or your podcast as well as your business at the same time. Be a guest on other people's show. Yeah, absolutely. Because this is like the best thing that you could do. Just because you got your own show doesn't mean you're limited to your own show. No, you want to be able to as well. Podcasters are always looking for new and exciting guests coming onto their show, and this really helps grow their audience as well as help your grow audience. If you do it well, man, it's a win-win for, and everybody wins and everyone feels good leaving that room. And last but not least, don't forget to email your circle. Email is by far the most underutilized, the most powerful, and oldest form of social media out there. Send out an email to let your people know that you have a podcast and tell them to listen and leave a review. Let them know. Let them know that you're open for feedback and want feedback on the show to make it even better. Email them when every show drops, and so that way they can stay up to date on the show. And tell them to also share it with their audience. In other words, in the email, you tell them, pass it on. Pass it on. Tell them to keep passing it on. And of course, you're going to put your business ad in there so that way it goes passed on to even more audience. Again, understand that all of this takes quite a bit of time and patience is really, really important. However, the goal is to be persistent and consistent with what you're doing for 6 to 18 months. Keep your ads on your show and find creative ways to mention your business on the show. Selling without selling. Selling without selling. Keep working on the format of the show to keep it fun and fresh and keep the audience coming back for more fun. We did this thing. Well, our schedule is pretty interesting. So we record 5 shows. We're all about the win. Then we'll take like a 2-week break. And then we'll record 5 shows. So we take a 2-week break. I need that to just re-energize myself because the show takes a lot out of me to create and to produce. So we did 1 week or tie where we did like 7 shows and I almost died. I'm like, guys, I'm done. I'm so burnt out. I'm done. I need that break if it's 5 shows. I just need a break. So now that we know that, that's what we're going to do. But when you do go on a break, you mentioned that, which I'm going to talk about here in a minute. All right. So let me give you last bits of tips and tricks that you can use to continue to promote your podcast, continue to promote your business, have a lot of fun creating things, and do this thing known as podcasting. So tip number 1, there is a difference between perfection and completion. Aim for completion. You will know when the show is ready to be released when you feel it. You listen to it and you're like, man, that was a good show. If you listen to your show, right? And your co-host listens to your show, make sure your co-host listens to your show. You listen to your show, and at the very end of the show, you're like, man, that was a really good show. That went really fast. And you lose yourself in the show. You have created your show. That show needs to get released immediately. You've done a great job. You have completed the show. Do not strive for perfection. You will never get there and nothing will ever get done. Thoroughly test your equipment out before recording your first show. Please, always test your equipment. Test your equipment. Make sure everything works. Make sure everything is perfect. So that way, when you sit down to record your show, the last thing you're worrying about is my equipment ready to handle this show? Create a pilot episode to release and have some of your close friends listen and give you feedback. This is really important. Our first 6 episodes that we ever recorded for All About the Win, we call it the Lost episode, season 1 Lost episodes that no one will ever hear because it was so god awful. We did it, but we sent it out. It's not god awful. It's really good, but it wasn't the show that we wanted to create. However, it was the feedback that I got from that helped me create the show that I wanted to create. Remember to take breaks and announce that you'll be back. You'll be taking a break and when expected to be back. Again, All About the Win. We told our audience on the last show, hey, we're taking a break. We'll be back in July. Look forward to seeing you in July. Now the audience knows when they listen to that episode, okay, they're going to be back in July. And lastly, have fun and get creative on how you promote your show and your business. This is like doing this way promotes your business in such a new light, as well as you in such a new light, that you should be having fun with this. Really, if you're feeling pressure, you need to take a break, step back, go on a break from it, and then come back to it. Don't pressure yourself. Have fun. Remember, you're on no timeline other than your own. You don't have a radio station to report in or a boss to report into. This is your own creation. So, and don't be so hard on yourself. I'm saying this to you, but I'm really saying it to myself as well. Any questions, please drop them into that Q&A. Real quick, as always, if you want to learn more about tips and tricks, because we have tons of tips and tricks and goodies, about how to either promote your business, clever ways, creative and innovative ways to promote your business and others, please sign up for our newsletter. We're always giving away freebies. I give away so much freebies because I have so much knowledge that I want to give you, and I enjoy giving this content to you. All you have to do is go to tinyurl.com, which is a cute little website that puts your big URL down to something little tiny. To tinyurl.com/Octavia Media. Sign up for a newsletter. You get so many free stuff. Also, you get a chance to win and a free 30-second digital commercial will come to you. Film a commercial, send it to you. You can use it on YouTube. You can use it on Facebook. You can promote your podcast with it. Oh my gosh, we could definitely do that for you. And I want to say thank you so much for your time. You give it to me so amazingly. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Real quick, any feedback on using Bazondo and Vimeo to host visual podcasts or other medium? Stick with YouTube. Stick with YouTube. YouTube has a way that it can categorize things in such an amazing fashion that it will, oh gosh, it will blow all the other ones away. Especially right now, they just launched YouTube Studio. Check into that. That is really, really awesome. And they've really listened to a lot of people's complaints about it, YouTube itself, for creators. And they have done some amazing work fixing a lot of those issues. So I would definitely, definitely check that out. All right. And thank you, Raven, for the great job. I pass it back on to Robert. And yeah, pass it back on to you.
All right, thank you, Andrae. That was a great presentation. Great way to wrap up the two-part series. We appreciate you being on, everybody. Thank you for joining us today and learning about podcasting. And we had that last question about videos. If you are interested in videos, we do have some boot camps that we've done on videos and YouTube and so forth. So you can go back and check those out in the archive. But this was the first session we did on podcasting, so we're very appreciative of Andrae for his time that he spent preparing for this and sharing these sessions with us. So thank you very much, Andrae. With that, we will go ahead and wrap up this week's sessions of boot camp. We look forward to having you with us next week for our marketing sessions. Please join us Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. for the next one. Until then, everybody have a great rest of your week and a safe weekend, and we will see you on Tuesday. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Take care. How'd I do?
Good. Went very well.
Yay. Awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
I might have to join you on the barbecue one.
Yes. Come on down. Do you barbecue?
I do. I love barbecue. I love
really?
I've got a side project I'll have to come down and talk to you about too that would tie in with that and would tie in with some of the other media stuff. It's a total side project, but it's exactly like you were talking about, of building over time.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to build it. It's an 8 to 10 year picture down the road.
Yes.
I want for success. So, but the barbecue thing would tie in. It could actually kind of cross over, like you're saying on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't fully launched it yet, so I got to launch it first before I. It's that thing of doing, getting the first, episodes done.
Yes.
I've got, a couple hours of video sitting on my computer. I got to go back and edit.
Oh, got it. Got it.
Find the time to do that. So.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Yes. Yeah. Let me know and come on down. The studio's always open. Well, not right now. It's getting constructed, but it's always open when it's not being constructed. I'm going to run. Thank you so much, Robert.
Thanks, Andrae. Appreciate it.
No problem. Take it easy.
Okay.
See you next time.
Bye.